Hey everybody, welcome back to BK's Bullets. Today we're going to be talking about the Red Hood, aka Jason Todd. Hey everybody, welcome back to BK's Bullets. As always, I'm your host, Brent. Today is a new kind of thing I guess we might be doing once in a while. I got a special request in one of the YouTube comments to do a spotlight on Jason Todd, the Red Hood. One of you guys has been playing, I guess, the Arkham games and maybe doesn't know a whole lot about him or just wants to know more recommended readings or like how do I follow this character's arc. He seems really cool. He's like a badass. And yeah, it's true. He's like a badass, but he's got a kind of a really weird history. And I wouldn't say that he's gotten the best shake right now in terms of where he's at in the DCU. I'm not really a fan of the whole outlaw Red Hood stuff that's been going on, just FYI. But Jason Todd started out as the second Robin. When he first appeared in Batman comic books before 1986, before Crisis on Infinite Earths, he was actually like a blonde-haired, basically clone of Dick Grayson. Dick Grayson was in the Teen Titans comic books, and he was Nightwing over there, and Batman needed a Robin, or he was becoming Nightwing or something like that, so they created this guy, Jason Todd, and he was basically like another circus performer, the same backstory as Dick Grayson, and kind of a ho-hum character. Crisis on Infinite Earths happens, they do this whole like realignment with, the multiverse now being from many into one, and Jason Todd becomes this very, very different character for the next couple of years. And readers didn't really like him. They made him into like a thief. He was stealing the wheels off the Batmobile, and Batman finds him, takes him under his wing, and he's kind of this Robin with this really tough street edge, basically, because he was raised on the streets. His dad was a no-good crook. His mom was a drug addict or whatever. And so he's kind of got this big chip on his shoulder. He's always out to prove himself. And he does kind of, make that chip even deeper when he fights crime. He's very violent, as they're kind of portraying, or he's kind of an asshole. So in the Death of the Family storyline, they basically you find Jason's mom, and or he finds her in like Saudi Arabia. It's a really wild storyline, and then she actually like messes up, or embraces him and says, "Oh, you're my son," but they know he's like Bruce Wayne's ward. And there's a whole bunch of stuff. Short story is she ends up betraying her son to the Joker, and then the Joker beats Jason almost half to death with a crowbar, and then blows up this warehouse in the Middle East with Jason and his mom inside. And that issue ended, and there was a page with a 900 number saying, like, should we kill Jason or not? So you called one number if you wanted him to live, and one number if you wanted him to die. And readers called, and they wanted Jason Todd to die. So that is what happened. DC at the time had the entire next issue planned out. You were like following Batman as all this happened, and they had 2 pages ready to go to the printer. One of them was with Jason alive, the other one was with Jason Todd dead. So when they got the results, of course they charged for this 900 number call. If you don't know what a 900 number is, back in the day, it was a number like a phone sex line or something was a 900 number. It's basically like if you call a 900 number, you know that you're going to pay extra to call it, like cents per minute type thing. So DC had, basically charged people to vote, 25 cents or whatever it ended up being, and kind of made some money off the readers calling in to kill Jason Todd or save him, whatever it was. It was a good scheme, I think, for them. Anyway, so they had one page where he was alive, one page where he died. So they put in the page where he died, and that was like the end of the issue, and then Batman kind of like becomes, not a recluse, but he's very angry. He feels down, like he let Jason down, bitter, that kind of stuff. Fast forward to the storyline called A Lonely Place of Dying, and if you go pick up there's a thick trade paperback out right now. I think it's called Death of the Family. It's got this story and A Lonely Place of Dying in it, so you can see one Robin die, and then you can see Tim Drake become the third Robin and tell Bruce that Batman needs a Robin because it makes him lighter, it makes him better. It's a really cool story. So for a long time, that was it, and Dark Knight Returns came out, and I think almost the same year that they changed Jason Todd, and that was, I think Jason Todd maybe didn't die till like 88, 89, But in Dark Knight Returns, it's almost weird. It's like forecasting the death of Jason, because you see Bruce Wayne kind of like referencing Jason, oh, I let him down kind of thing. It's like very nebulous. So Frank Miller somehow like tapped into this hate towards his character, or figured they need a dead Robin and maybe I'll use the one at the time, that kind of thing. It's kind of weird that it happened just as they changed this character drastically. So that's kind of weird. This is how I first encountered this idea of Jason Todd being a dead Robin. But I read Dark Knight Returns in like the early 2000s, and Jason Todd was dead already. So I thought that's what Frank Miller was talking about, even though I didn't know at the time that like one came way before the other. So fast forward to like 2005 or 6 or something like that. Judd Winnick is writing Batman, or no, this is 2003. Now you're talking about Hush, and let's dig out Hush right here. This is my copy of Hush. This is the absolute Hush. This is DC's oversized premium format. I won this in a contest from About Heroes, and then I actually took it to a comic book shop a couple years later and got it signed by Jim Lee. Fun fact there, just for you, for me. But anyway, Jim Lee's doing this Rockstar run on Batman with Jeff Loeb, and you're reading it, and you're like 9 issues into this 12-issue arc. You come across Hush. He unwraps the bandages at the end of one issue, and then he goes, bam! This guy looks like a Robin with like a white streak in his hair. There's an R on his chest, where there usually has been an H for Hush. And you're like, whoa, Robin! And then the cover to the next guy is this dead Robin skeleton, so we all know that's probably Jason. And in fact, this character does say he's Jason Todd. But in the issue, you come across it a little bit better, and then there's this great splash. You are not the Robin that died. Jason's Todd starts to melt away at the bottom of this page, and then it turns out it's Clayface. And it's like, oh, what a terrible fake out. That would have been so cool if Jason Todd was this vengeful Robin who's mad at Batman because he let him die kind of thing. And it was like this dangling story thread, like, wouldn't that be cool if? So fast forward a couple years, and Judd Winnick is writing Batman. He's got Doug Mahnke on art, and they're doing it, and they start the storyline with this Red Hood character. And like, I've got pictures and stuff I'll be throwing up throughout this video if you haven't seen them already. And the first issue basically ends with the Red Hood taking off his helmet and Batman going, oh no, not you. So it's like this thing where you're led on to go, who is the Red Hood? Who is the Red Hood? And why is it because the Red Hood has some implications to Batman history, because the Red Hood was basically the Joker in one of these origins. I think most famously in The Killing Joke, where Batman chased the Red Hood through the Ace chemical plant. He fell into a vat of chemicals, and then the Joker came out of that. It's one of the Joker origins that's out there. So it's somehow related to the Joker. So it's kind of ironic that Jason Todd took this Red Hood identity as a fuck you to Batman, basically, because he's mad that Batman let the Joker kill him, and he didn't kill the Joker after that, or the Joker's still on the loose again and again and again. So in that, you have the Red Hood who's like taking out gangs. He's fighting, aiding and fighting Black Mask at the same time, and he's causing all sorts of havoc. And Batman's kind of questioning himself through there, and he's going, is this Jason? Is it not Jason? He moves like this kid. He moves like somebody who I've trained. And then he eventually confirms through some DNA that, oh, in fact, it is Jason. And then they start talking, and that's where, like, the first arc of that 12-issue storyline is, like, 6 and 6 kind of thing, ends with him. You flash back to that moment from the first issue where he takes off the Red Hood helmet, so to speak, and then it is Jason Todd. And he looks kind of like what he does in Hush with the white streak in his hair and stuff like that. So then Red Hood somehow gets Joker involved and is like beats Joker with a crowbar himself as like a bit of revenge. Then makes Batman face him and the Joker in this like showdown, and he tells Batman exactly why he's mad, that the Joker's still alive. Why didn't you kill him? Why isn't he dead? He killed me. He beat me. Do you understand what he did to me? How could you? You betrayed me. He's so angry. And it ends really weird because we go into Infinite Crisis, and the multiverse kind of shatters and contracts again. And you're not really left knowing what happened at the end of it. There's a big explosion, Batman comes out of it, and you think the Joker's dead. Is Red Hood dead? And that is that. That whole storyline is also adapted in this animated movie, Batman Under the Red Hood. It's fan-fucking-tastic. If you have not watched this, go rent it, buy it today. Well worth your time. It's a pretty good adaptation of the comic storyline. Really, really good. Different Batman voices than you've heard normally, so just go with it. It's fine. It's totally good. But what really sells this movie is that climax part. And reading the comics, it was weird because you had Doug Mahnke on art, you had some other artists step in, like Shane Davis did an issue or two when he first, like this, how he kind of broke into comics and got really hot was these couple issues. And then, unfortunately, due to the Infinite Crisis stuff, you have, I guess good for this artist, bad for the reader. I wasn't really a fan of this art at all. You have this artist come in, his name is Eric Battle. I don't know if he's gotten any better, but wasn't a fan of him at all because you go from this very clean, crisp style with Doug Mahnke, whose art they mimic in the animated movie. It's really cool. They kind of mimic his style a little bit. But you go from Doug Mahnke or the ultra detailed Shane Davis to Eric Battle, who's like really loose with his lines and really looks like heavily inked, very sloppy kind of thing. Just weird proportions, like almost way more on the cartoony side than the crisp side that Doug Mahnke and Shane Davis were on. So it's really unfortunate for the storyline because it's really jarring change in pace for art. So that's weird. But go watch this movie for sure because it makes that climax even better because it's the same art style throughout the movie. And instead of reading it, you're hearing all the anguish in Jason's voice and stuff like that. The guy from Supernatural plays Jason Todd. I forget his name. The main guy, the older brother. And then Bruce Greenwood, I remember, is Batman. John DiMaggio is Joker. And I think Neil Patrick Harris is Nightwing in this, who plays a little bit bigger role in the story than he does in the comics. So Jensen Ackles is Red Hood. That's the guy. Jensen Ackles. So yeah, highly recommend this. Go check it out. So Infinite Crisis happens, and then Red Hood kind of drops off the face of the earth for a while, and you don't really know where he's at. So let's talk about this comic book. This came out right before the New 52, basically. This is Red Hood, The Lost Days, and this basically tells you what happens to the Red Hood in 6 issues from Judd Winnick and art by Jeremy Hahn and Pablo Raimondi. Very good art. Basically tells you what happens from when he woke up to how he got to that spot in the first Judd Winnick issue where he puts on the Red Hood with the motorcycle jacket and all this other stuff. And basically it shows you how Talia kind of like found him. He was like this weird zombie once he like got out of the coffin, and that was a weird thing because you have basically Superboy Prime in the Infinite Crisis storyline to break them out of the multiverse thing, and this is a whole weird thing. This is why Red Hood's origin and stuff is really kind of messed up because it involves this crossover to a T. So imagine there's this all-powerful character outside of the universe, looking through it, disappointed in it, and wants to break into the universe basically, and punches the wall that's the barrier that's holding them away because he thinks the universe is too dark, that it's gone away from what it was, and the sacrifices they made are bad. So he's punching this barrier, he breaks through. So one of these punches, these reverberations, send shockwaves through the universe each time. And one of those shockwaves actually brought the dead body of Jason Todd back to life underground soon after he was buried, basically. So he's still like a young man. He's not yet decayed or anything like that, but almost as if like you embalmed the guy, you buried him, you walk away, you have the funeral. 2 days later, he wakes up. He starts crawling at the coffin and wakes up out of there. Unfortunately, it brought his body back. It didn't really bring his mind back. And his body has all of the skills it learned. The muscle memory's all there. So he's like kind of a Walking Dead zombie, except he's not eating brains, but people are attacking him and he'll like automatically block it. He's not really talking or anything like that. So somehow there's a spy, I guess Ra's al Ghul and Talia al Ghul always have spies watching Batman. And one of these spies calls and says, hey, this kid's back from the dead. Talia grabs him, throws him into one of the Lazarus pits against her father's will. And then that's when Jason like gets the white streak in his hair. He goes kind of nuts and gets very angry. And then they like calm him down and stuff. And then she actually trains him throughout these 5 issues on how to get revenge basically on Batman. She sends him on like a mission, and then he starts formulating his plan. So you have all these flashbacks to the Joker and the bomb in here and stuff. But basically she gifts him like a weird squiggly knife and like the Red Hood outfit. And he kind of puts it on at the end of the first issue. So Infinite Crisis happens. Remember, we haven't seen Red Hood, we haven't seen Jason Todd in a while. And then we flash forward after that event is over to something called 1 year later. And then Nightwing is out there, and then Nightwing is at one of these Nightwings, basically there's 2 of them, is out there killing people with this squiggly knife. That's what this is calling back to. It's written by, I want to say Bruce Jones was writing it. Covers were by Jock, really cool Nightwing covers. And was the art by Jock too? I can't recall. Anyway, no, Paco Diaz did some art on there. That I really like that artist. I followed him after that run. And so it's like Dick Grayson and Jason Todd kind of dueling as Nightwings. It's kind of, like I said, it's weird. It's like, you were the Red Hood, now you're impersonating Nightwing. Who are you as a character? And, you know, Jason Todd really hasn't figured out who he is as a character yet. So that happens. Nightwing, Dick Grayson says, go away, basically, and he leaves. Then you have Countdown to Infinite Crisis, which is this weekly series. And Jason Todd comes back with the Red Hood, the motorcycle jacket, the whole thing. And then does some adventures with Kyle Rayner and Donna Troy. You know, and that's kind of where I kind of latched on the character. The series is not very good, but he is in a lot of those 52 weekly issues from that event. So if you want to read that, go ahead. It's not necessary. I would say like Hush, Under the Red Hood, Lost Days here that I just showed you, and like those are the 2 main ones you need to read so far. Watch the movie. So then he comes out of Countdown for Infinite Crisis, and then we have, Countdown to Final Crisis. Final Crisis happens. Bruce Wayne, Batman kind of dies, so to speak, and then you have Battle for the Cowl. Now Jason Todd is still confused about who he is and puts on this mask of Batman that was introduced in the Grant Morrison Batman run. Basically, it's the Batman with 2 guns and this like face mask. Kind of looks like a gas mask or one of those breathable filter things that are going around with this COVID-19 stuff. And he's trying to be Batman. And then you have Dick Grayson trying to be Batman, and then also Tim Drake trying to be Batman. And they're all wearing 3 different Batman costumes in Battle for the Cowl. It's all written and drawn by Tony Daniel. It's okay. It's not great, but he loses and then goes about his way. So after that, Jason Todd somehow went from Under the Red Hood being kind of normal, and then, you know, getting a little bit crazier, and then even crazier here. And then Grant Morrison starts writing Batman with Dick Grayson at the helm in Batman. In the second arc in his storyline, he has Red Hood in this, instead of this motorcycle helmet looking thing, it is this tall, almost glass helmet. And he has a sidekick, and now he has a skull on his thing, and he has a cape. He's very more Batman-like than he is like motorcycle vigilante-like. And he gets defeated, and then that's kind of the last you see of that costume. Very weird, bizarre. I don't know. You know, and that's kind of it for a while. Where's Red Hood? He's kind of like used here. Really cool idea. Nobody knew what to do with him, and then that's it. So the New 52 happens, and now you have this title called Red Hood and the Outlaws, I think, or something like that, where it's Red Hood, Arsenal, and Starfire, and they're going on adventures. It's written by Fabian Nicieza, and it's drawn by, oh gosh, what's his name? It's on the tip of my tongue. He's basically drawn Red Hood a whole lot throughout his career since his book started. And they're going on adventures, and it kind of makes sense, kind of doesn't make sense, and that's kind of where Red Hood's been since then. not really drawing any attention. He changed his partners to where it was just like him and Arsenal for a while, and that was like a separate title, and then that ended, and then now they're trying to do it with Artemis and Bizarro, and that part ended, and then now it's Red Hood Outlaw, and he changed his costume again, and he's actually got like a physical hood on a hoodie. He's wearing a red kind of domino mask, and then he has a red face mask the way he did with Battle of the Cowl, and carries a baseball bat with like cut off sleeves. Like I said, weird. They don't really know what to do with this character, in my opinion. And in that time, like, he's kind of gone all over the place. He works better, I think, as a motorcycle vigilante than he does anything else. So then you have where he's appeared in the video games, which is where I think one of our commenters here is more familiar with him in the Arkham game, Arkham Knight. So Arkham Knight comes out, and they're promoting it, and they're going, oh, we have this new character, the Arkham Knight. He's a new character. You guys don't know who he is, and the whole time they're like showing the previews or whatever, and I'm like, it's Jason Todd. It's Jason Todd. It's Jason Todd. I'm playing the game. We're playing the game. I'm going, it's Jason Todd. It's Jason Todd, because he keeps talking in a way that sounds like Jason Todd's story. Sure enough, at the end of the game, takes off the Arkham Knight helmet. It's Jason Todd, mad for Joker killing him the same way it happened in the comics. And I'm like, oh god, you guys, it's a good storyline, but the whole fact that they promoted it as you aren't going to guess who this is, or it's a brand new character, was total nonsense. So then after that game, there's like I don't know if it's DLC, I think it is, DLC after Batman's got the final solution, so to speak, and disappears. Then he puts on that Red Hood outfit, and you can play as him for like a short level, doing that kind of stuff. And that's it. So Red Hood, he's a cool character, but DC doesn't know what to do with him, because they keep changing him. And I think the New 52 run starts out kind of interesting, and then it goes in this weird mystical direction, which I think they're bringing back in because Fabian Nicieza is back writing the character. And that's okay, but I don't like where he took him in the first place in this mystical direction. It changes it. Like, I much prefer the origin here, where it's just, aside from the multiverse stuff that brings him back to life, the stuff here where he's involved with Ra's al Ghul and Talia and the Batman canon, instead of this weird mystical stuff that, it's Red Hood's deal, it's not Batman's, I think is what they were trying to make it, give him some supporting characters or villains to face by himself. But Red Hood is intricately tied into the Batman story, so I don't think you can have a journey without him being part of that. And I think they're trying to separate him away from the Bat family while still having their cake and eating it too. And it's like, you can't do that. He needs to be part of the Bat family, and if he's going to be an outsider, let him be an outsider, but he still should be part of it. So that's where Red Hood is at right now. That's your overview. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know if you like this video down in the comments. Let me know if there's another character you want me to go on a 20-minute rant about with a general history. Give me a thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell, all that other nonsense. And we will see you guys in the funny pages.